I just see them both be very patient, very calm with one another, and then it's just like a series of attacks, and then they're both back to like cautiously just staring at each other.
Well, you can appreciate if someone is really aggressive with the pass, you can appreciate how the underneath guy is aggressive with his defense.
Oh, all right.
Working a basic butterfly guard here. Got that sleeve grip. You know, sometimes it's frustrating when a guy's got a really good sleeve grip like that. It's not as easy as just ripping your arm out of there. It takes, you got to use technique to get that out of there. And you do want to deal with that grip. You don't want him to have that sleeve control there. And he let it go. Now he's going to start fishing under.
Yeah. I think wow. Okay, so we got about 40 seconds left, and if I was Dan, I'd be concerned.
I think so. It really feels like, that he's been a little bit on the run, and he's going to swoop to that. As long as he keeps that underhook, that right arm under that leg, he can actually swim to the inside, and now he's passing. Turtle position.
15 left.
It's a heck of a match, I have to tell you.
10 left.
And I'd like to see someone shoot and just make one last move. Try and convince the ref. I don't know if a guard pull there was super advisable, but there we have it.
Yeah. No, when he started the initial part of the guard pull, he was for like a butterfly sweep, but just kind of gave up halfway.
Yeah, if you spent the entire match breaking his balance, that would make a lot of sense, but hey, look, they're out there for 8 minutes straight. Fatigue comes into play. You don't want to find yourself in a bad spot in the end. So pull guard, and you let the ref figure this out.
And definitely, like I said before, they're all out here for a good cause. If you're at home enjoying the matches, once again, just pay a visit over to the website, TapCancerOut.org. Dan Simler takes it. Like I said, it was very evenly contested.
It was close.
It was close. I was leaning towards Mike, but
these are tough to decide. I mean, it's the referee doesn't have a fun job in trying to pick a winner here.
Yeah,
there's no clear cut, especially with no scoring criteria. Really, it's hard to be. You can't be objective about it. You just have to be subjective. And
not everyone's gonna like the sit down guard the same way.
No,
and that may have cost them.
It's possible. Nonetheless, a great match.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get set for another no-gi contest.
All right.
Blue corner, Bowler.
So here we go.
So we have Chris Simmons here with the red on the ankle, representing Carlson Gracie versus Scott Bowler, representing UFC Jim Norwalk.
Scott
No pressure.
Bowler is one of the most interesting guys you're going to meet. I actually met Scott a couple of years ago. He was traveling the country in his van, going from jiu-jitsu school to jiu-jitsu school, and he stopped by the Ronin Academy and just jumped in with us. Super nice guy, super experienced. What's interesting about Scott is when you stand next to him, you don't realize how big he is. And he's got a tight guillotine right off the bat here.
But
he's in the process of getting past. You got to be careful.
And I like it. Chris Simmons is what he's grabbing the opposite ankle from underneath the leg, trying to pass it outside while he did not complete it. Oh, look at that.
But it's an excellent counter to that guillotine attempt. That's the only downside to those guillotine attempts. You can't hang on to them while getting past.
Ooh.
You got to give it up. And here goes Scotty sneaking around. If he could switch those hips, maybe to a knee bar.
That is kind of that danger, those back quarter takes. Just that you leave that one leg out there.
Yeah.
You got to be very careful.
Extremely careful. And here comes Scott's going to come on top. That's
nah,
not a
he's not
triangle.
going to complete that.
It's just it's actually
right
from here. Scott should just go into a double underhook pass and stack him up. And granted, the guy's squeezing away at your head. I have seen this finished, though.
Wait.
I have seen it finished.
Okay, so look at Scott. Scott's trying to take the leg that's over it. He's trying to push it up to try to break the hold.
Yeah, when I get stuck in that position, I treat it as if I'm just doing a double underhook pass, and it usually is the magic bullet for it. But you know, you've got a strong guy squeezing away at your head. It can you can get a little Scrabble brained in there. Additional BJJ, even though it's no gi, just really good fundamentals.
Yeah, so look at Chris Simmons, and look where Chris Simmons has his hand on the opposite thigh trying to push him open.
That's what we call the thigh pry, and that's a great way to open him up to get that hook in there. You know, right now you want to use a thigh pry in combination with that far crossface from your right arm. It's a little bit more wrestling-based than jiu-jitsu, but tremendously effective. He is now coming up into... It looks like they've wound up in a form of...
Actually,
he's comfortable just playing around under there, but you got to be careful because you've got that necktie in there.
Yeah, and he's just going to use that necktie to position him. He's probably going to turn back onto his back.
Yeah, just a kind of a quarter Nelson turn is all he wants to do here. He's going for a hybrid Japanese necktie here. He might have something in there, sneaky.
Nah, it's not.
Not
he
there.
Didn't, nah, yeah, no,
but you notice Scott's grabbing his far leg there.
Yeah. And, you know, one thing, Chris already let go of the grip, but you don't want to hold on to that for too long. That requires too much strength.
You know, any submission that's really not locked in, if you're using strength to get it, you're just going to gas your arms and legs out pretty quick. So, you know, you move on to the next move.
And I thought this match has been going on for a while. I just looked over at the clock. We're almost at the halfway mark. So these guys have a lot more to go.
Let's see if Scott is going to set up that guillotine. A lot of times guys set this guillotine up for the pass. You know, they're not going to threaten too hard with it, but, you know, at some point...
He might be able to clear out the top because he already got one leg over.
Well, at some point, Chris is going to have to take his hand and start dealing with that guillotine. At that point, he's using the hand to defend rather than prevent the pass.
So he's got like an interesting half mount, half top half going on.
Wow. And now Scott's got traditional side control here.
All us big guys dream of having someone else in that position. Just start turning clockwise it's like a meat grinder.
You know, just dial it in and put the pressure on, and you get them looking at the ceiling. You know, if you're ever on the bottom, if you're looking at the ceiling, you've seen a few Japanese neckties, you've seen darces, you've seen hybrid darces. Even this quarter Nelson here is in that same family.
And look here. I love what Chris is doing here and how Chris applies it just this. He clasps his hands right on top of his shoulder, so that top hand, that his right hand just kind of like down,
And he goes right into it almost like autopilot. He's, if Scott leaves his head out there, and he's just going to take that quarter Nelson, and it's just part of his casual transitions back and forth.
And you're right, it's a casual transition. The first thing he does is stick his hand back in there for the thigh pry.
There you go.
It is the sequence of attacks, like thigh pry, roll him, back take.
You know, and a lot of that stuff is very wrestling based. And very
So this was what we were saying earlier. You got to be careful of those quarterback takes. You leave that leg out there.
And let's see if Scott goes for that straight ankle lock here. The knee bars are really tricky to set up at this level.
Minute and a half left.
And they've been moving non-stop. There has not been one breather from these guys yet.
Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, no, he can't get the. And we're gonna get a stop. Love that. I love the look at the clock every time they reset.
Casual glance.
Oh, that was not a casual.
No, that was a he deadlocked. He laser beamed that clock from across the mat. And look at this double leg takedown. Good. You like to see that from Scott. He's got a minute left to push the pace, because I believe right now that Chris has shown a little bit more action. Those attempted Darce chokes